episode 1 of Church of Deathy. I'm your host, Rich and Famous. I have my co-host slash first guest, Steve S., the most prominent deadlock thought leader. So today we have a couple topics to talk about. For the first topic, we're just going to be talking about, are kills worth enough? And, like, are you rewarded for, like, not playing the game? And so, like, this is going to be more catered towards, like, early game and I think laning phase, because there's a lot of lanes where I'll come out of lane up, I don't know, 2 or 3 kills and then die once the other team, and then they're either even with me or up. So I think kills aren't worth enough, and I think deadlock values comeback mechanics a little bit too much. What do you think, Steve?
Well, first of all, Rich, thanks for having me on.
Oh, of course. Sorry.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this recently, sort of kill value, and I think part of the problem is that kills are one of the only ways to extract value. So I think what you're talking about, experience in lane, where you're getting a bunch of kills, and then it's like they get 1 kill and you can come back. To some extent, you have to wonder, well, you're ahead already. If you're ahead and they still get you, that feels kind of fair. But then the other side of it is, like, if you're not getting kills, it seems like you're not doing anything, which incentivizes putting yourself in situations where you can be punished for being ahead.
Yeah, I do agree, and I think a lot of the times the best play when you are ahead is to just AFK and farm your own jungle, and then you kind of look for an invade. But I don't know. I don't like if you get a kill first wave in lane, you should almost like have won the lane off that. That should be a play where it's like they chose to fight you, so I think it's like both teams are taking a risk in that. I think you should be rewarded more heavily, but like dying first wave doesn't really matter. You get like 100 souls or like 150. So I'm a little turned off by that, and I think it rewards a lot of this playstyle in lane where people are just playing to not lose, and they're just sitting behind their tower, just like letting you shoot their tower. And like I think that's an uninteractive part of the game, and I think that the best part of this game to me is all of the interactions and like between hero to hero. And I think in lane is when you really see those interactions and when you can like actually feel like you have some agency over the game.
I do think that for the longest time I felt like lane is one of the
least important.
I don't know. Well, not least important, but like almost most interesting.
I think it's the most interesting.
Because that's like, things are on cooldown for a long time, and stuff has pretty significant impact. Especially because you're getting your first APs online and you're buying your first items. And those first items dictate, like, they change how you play more dramatically than pretty much any subsequent items in the game. So, for example, like, unlocking Claude first versus Stomp first.
Yes.
There's no AP after that, which just dramatically changes how you play the next 5 minutes of your game. And I think what you were saying earlier about, you know, AFK farming being really just the optimal way to play ends up being very true in the middle game because of that. Because it feels like people are just trying to get to their max APs on abilities. But I'm gonna
I low-key streamed it. Okay, it's okay though.
I mean, it's fine.
Whatever. What's up, Enigma? What's up, Vanille? What's up, Fake Julian?
So, I think that there's too much healing in the game that comes from like the map.
Yeah,
I think
you don't get punished. I feel like you don't get punished that much for taking like bad trades in lane.
And I think that's part of the problem,
as the Bean would say.
Well, I think that's part of the problem because what ends up happening is if you don't get a kill, now this isn't as bad in lane, but as the game progresses, if you don't get a kill, they're just going to top up on HP unless the objective or whatever you're fighting over or a big team fight is happening the next 20 seconds.
Yeah,
right. And I think that makes it so that, like, if you're ahead, the only way to sort of accelerate that advantage in the early game feels like to get more kills. But at the same time, getting more kills is the most dangerous thing to do. It's like you can go and just get some damage and be satisfied with that.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it's uninteractive, truthfully. I feel like you're just so rewarded for not playing the game. Like, if you wanted to, like, rank up, obviously you're going to want to win your lane and, like, play more aggressively. But if you wanted to just, like, I think it's too viable of a strategy to rank up as well, to just AFK in the lane and just sit under tower and push waves and, like, just wait for, like, your team to do something else. And I don't know.
I think that's partially,
Yes, I'm super biased because I play lane like super aggressively, and like I feel like you never get rewarded for like taking that risk, because in most games, the risk of engagements fall on the person that's being aggressive. So I feel like the risk to reward for being aggressive isn't worth it. And so, how do I articulate my thoughts? I don't know.
I mean, it's true. I think that comes with the characters, though, because if you think about Apollo, like, an Apollo getting ahead even 1 or 2 items is just, like, debilitating. Completely debilitating. Whereas Wraith, her power spikes are around her APs. So it sounds like what you're saying is that you feel like the early game power spikes for some characters aren't really strong enough. And I kind of agree. I think that Deadlock right now is a huge problem where like on Lash, you're always rushing max flaw. It's just always. And then you'll notice that, especially with like ABL builds I've seen recently, that almost always it's you max one ability out, dump all the points in that, then you max another ability out, dump all the points in that, max a third ability out, dump all the points in that. It's not like the 2 AP upgrades on almost every character that at least I play are just so, I don't know, they feel weak. They feel like they end up not doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
And
some of them are really strong though, like, but like, I feel like Deadlock, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the last couple of patches they nerfed both farming and also what's the word? I just threw lasso to the ground. They nerfed farming and they also nerfed how much like gold you get per kill. Like they should have just nerfed all the money, but then they made the AP. Wasn't this the most recent patch where they made you get like your AP faster?
I like that they slowed down the AP somehow. I think that was
AP's
or sorry, they redistributed it.
Yeah, I think it's good. I like it. Where like you get your first 2 AP points quicker, and so like I've been playing a lot of Dynamo, and Dynamo's like really big power spikes are around his like max 1 and max 3. So I think he got like massively buffed from that, but I think the other heroes kind of didn't get buffed. Like I guess for example like Wraith, she wants almost like all of her APs outside of like her max ultimate. So I think I think it's a buff to like good laning heroes like Dynamo. Like his biggest power spike in my opinion is like when he hits his like max 1, and then his max 3 is also like a big like team power spike, and he wouldn't hit that as early if it wasn't for this new patch. And so I think that is to be like play devil's advocate. That is a little bit of a buff to laning phase, because like if you win your lane on Dynamo, you have a big advantage because you're gonna hit those 2 power spikes faster than other people. And I think, for example, like Wraith's probably the best example of like Wraith just wants to literally do nothing in lane, but like she is actually a strong laner. But like the risk to reward on that hero, I feel like is just not worth it. Where it's like if you take a couple engages and they go bad, you kind of just your tempo's just messed up. But also, if you win those engages, your tempo's really good. I also think objectives are worth just so much money to the point where like lane just doesn't matter. Like you'll win your lane super hard and be up like 10 kills on them, and then you hit the 20-minute mark of the game and they're equal souls to you because they either farmed or they got what's the name? They got objectives. So it's like, is it even worth playing the lane? Is it worth taking those risks? So
I I think generally, no. I think you're right about that. Is that I'm a player who's notorious for dying a lot in lane, and it's
Well,
like
you're an insert.
even if you go equal on kills, the chances that if one of their players is completely safe and like just does fine, they'll still end up being kind of ahead.
Yeah.
And I think that's in part due to like the soul split mechanics. When there's only one person in lane, it only you split your soul split becomes larger. So if your teammate dies and you get a solo lane, arguably it's bad because you're depriving your teammate of souls. I don't think that really matters until you're really doing a highly competitive level of play though. Generally
So
speaking, you run the risk of just feeding one of their players.
so basically, like, to speak on that is like, uh, there's a lot of strategies where you put like a carry mid lane, and then you put like a Viscus, a Calico in the mid lane as well, and then they just go run boxes and give solo waves to your carry, and like, you can get someone super ahead from that, and also the person running boxes will actually kind of be more ahead because they're staying even on souls, and they're also getting golden statues, which are like, golden statues are broken. I think boxes is its own topic. I hate boxes, and I think boxes should kind of just be removed from the game. I don't think they... I don't necessarily think boxes improve deadlock in a meaningful way. I think it's truthfully just something they added to be like, hey, this is something else you can do during lane phase. But I don't like boxes. Boxes is another topic I don't want to get into right now. Maybe later, but
I think I'm gonna go back to what I was saying about
I'm on a tangent.
healing though.
Oh yeah,
No,
go
no,
to
no.
healing. Yeah, no, I do agree that
Well,
the
it's the same thing. It's the same thing because think about it this way: the only reason that it is acceptable for one player to stay in lane while the other goes and runs boxes is because you're getting
yo,
is
Tawny,
because
bro, get
you're
out of here.
Why? What are you guys doing?
We're doing the
You doing
podcast.
the podcast? The pod?
You want to be in it or no?
Well, what's the
Get out,
topic?
bro.
Let me like give some info. Or let me.
We're talking about how AFKing in lane is like too strong, and how like you don't really get rewarded for like taking risks in lane.
I think it's just too easy to stabilize in lane more than anything.
Yes, that was exactly what Steve was just talking about.
yeah the heal because also you're able to have just one person hang out in lane while
You just got touched.
I'll let the experts handle the rest of these topics though. Go on.
you let someone sit in lane and soak souls and get like double wave, and at the same time, the fact that it's possible to do it against two players is a problem. The only reason it's possible is because the healing is really good. The on-map healing is good. Now, if it was like a McGinnis, that kind of makes sense, like to the character. If a McGinnis could solo hold a lane and like soak up souls, she has healing, she has on-map source of damage, she can put down turrets. But a Wraith, I don't know. I mean, she has the cards.
Wraith
in her kit,
can't
but the
do
only
it.
reason...
It's only certain heroes can do it. Like Geist, they have to have really good wave clear. That's like AoE. So like McGinnis honestly sometimes can get shoved under because she can't like wipe a whole wave in like the same way like a Geist could.
Which I think is like a kind of strange. I mean, no, I would expect that McGinnis to be a better character than that. So I think if they nerf like heal creeps generally, or they nerf Guardian HP, that would go a long way.
The Guardians are fairly weak. I think it's just the HP because legitimately you can just buy extra regen and like you just get so much value. It's actually ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous that you could buy them that item every time and like it's OP. And I don't like it. One, because I don't think it's interactive when you compare it to an item like Resto Shot that like takes a little bit of skill, takes a little bit of finesse to use. Extra regen, you just buy the item and it's automatic value. And I don't think it's just passive value. And it's like, I don't necessarily know if that should be as strong as it is. And
yeah, I think that makes sense because it's just you buy it and you don't have to think about it. It's not like healing, right? Where you have to.
Yeah, you have to think about that one
actually
too.
wait out. Yeah, because you have to use it, and then you have to be out of lane for that, and the requirements for extra regen are like that. And I think, in general, that's to satisfy a sort of, I don't know. It's a frustrating thing to take a bunch of I think that's from character imbalance, because there's some characters which you have to buy regen into.
Yeah.
There's no way you can out.
If you're into like an Apollo, you have to buy it.
So
someone in the chat just said, instead of like flat, it should just give you like a ramping out of combat heal. What is happening to me?
I don't know.
It gives you like a ramping out of combat, which I think is kind of interesting. But I think the item right now is just too broken, and it's like always been meta. Like I've been playing this game for like 2 years now, like ever since the game like first came out of NBA, and like extra regen is probably the item. Extra regen monster rounds, as the Beanstar would say, it would be the teeth and the band-aid are just like you can buy it every game. Like there's no reason to not buy it every game, basically, because it makes your lane phase easy, and
yeah.
It's not necessarily a bad thing, but wow, I've hit 0 last race, by the way.
It's not a bad thing, but you end up asking the questions like, what is lane supposed to be? I like.
Yeah,
that
what is lane supposed to be?
I like that we're in a meta where people can roam and get active and do things, because I think that it's kind of a not too far of a shout from the older 4-lane days, which.
I miss it, man.
Good thing, which I think, oh my god.
Maybe playing Street Brawl is not.
Yeah.
It's kind of good.
Sorry, I just the infinite hazel of despair. I think it allows for more activity like that. I think that's good. But that's a whole topic. I kind of think they should go back to 4-lane.
Oh, I don't know. That's a hot take. That's why I got you on here, is you have a lot of hot takes, but
I was go ahead.
I think 3 lanes infinitely better. I think the game just needs to flesh out more of a jungler role. Is like there's not really, it's just like either 2-2-2 or it's always like 2-2-2, I feel like. I think if the game could flesh out a jungler, like I think a good example is Mo and Krill, because he has good like sustain in the jungle because there's a score and he can heal off the creeps, and he has like a good like pick ultimate. I think the game lacks a jungle role, because I could be wrong about this, but I think Dota has a jungle role. I don't actually know, but I think it just needs a little bit of more variety. Because 3 lanes gives you those opportunities, but if we go back to 4 lanes and there's solo lanes, you don't really have like an opportunity for a jungler. But double the map size. That's including this. That's a crazy take. What do you think about that, Steve? Double the map size and make the jungle bigger?
I think double is too much. I think if you remove teleporters and jump pads and then increase the map size so it's like 1.3x, I think that would
you make it 4 lanes?
You don't even have to make it 4 lanes. Because that was my middle ground. I think one of the reasons I like 4 lanes a lot is just because there was more things to fight over. There was more objectives to operate around. And I do think that we've simplified the game by coming down to 3 lanes, but I don't know.
I agree. I do think it simplified the game.
I don't think that's simplified in like, and it's simplified, but now I feel like I'm kind of looking for more complexity, which, that might just be a me thing. But,
I think competitive in this game is so boring. I think most of the drafts are very, very similar. No team tries to like innovate. Everyone just follows whatever like the DNS players are doing, and like, maybe I'm an egotistical maniac and I think these players are terrible, but I think they have no creativity. I think a lot more compositions in this game could be played. Like, we do need more champs to play, I agree, but I think even with the champs we have right now, I think a GOAT style comp of like a couple, like 2 or 3 supports that like do a lot of healing, and then you just try to grab like some fat chunguses. I think that comp would actually do really, really well, and you I don't know if you're familiar with what Goats is in Overwatch, but Goats in Overwatch was basically 3 supports, 3 tanks, and all 6 players would just go on one person at one time. So it was highly coordinated, and like basically if you did it correctly, you would kill this guy in a second. And like it was all just about resource trading. And so Deadlock's a very, very different game from Overwatch, but the team fights are actually kind of similar. So I do think just pure deathball sustained team comp would actually do really well. But I think it's just tough because like all the people I play competitive with have a very preconceived notion about like what they think the meta is currently, what they want to draft, what other people draft. Like I think it's just uncreative, and I think it's boring. And I've been playing competitive draft mode, whatever you want to call it, for I don't know, a year and a half now, and like it really has just gotten boring. I played a ton of pugs as well, and like all the drafts just are the same. Like
Yeah.
everyone drafts the same shit.
I think my take on that, my attribution to that would be, I think movement has just gone too far, and
Creep, yeah.
the problem
movement
is there's so much escapability on every character that creativity is kind of punished, because there's one thing you have to do, and that's make sure that they're there long enough for them to die.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, then it doesn't matter what else you do.
Yeah, I
and
agree. I think
that's a
Slowing
shame.
Hex is also disgustingly broken, and like you could buy that item every game on every hero. And I think other than extra regen and monster rounds, I think it's the only item like that. It's definitely the only item that's like more than an 800 that every hero could buy. Maybe
Yeah.
like Silence Wave, but like even some heroes don't want to buy that.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, Silence Wave used to be completely broken, and we fought on everyone. And that's just because the meta favors trying on people, getting in their face, jumping in, and they have to try and escape. That's the only thing that they can really do.
Yeah.
Like, unless you play something like Abrams. Even then, Abrams can use his stuff for escape too. His charge and his ultimate. So I think that's a large part of the issue with that, is that the value of escape is greater than the things that can prevent it. So you're going to have these comps are going to be largely focused around doing a lot of DPS in AoE fashion, doing a lot of burst, and then being able to catch people.
Yeah.
So,
But what's weird is that pick heroes are never prioritized in draft. Like very like I don't know, past 6 months, like people haven't been drafting pick heroes. Outside of like Holiday, just because she was so unbelievably like she was getting picked, not because she was necessarily a pick hero, but more so she was just such a strong early game hero that had pick potential. So it's like you're getting two birds with one stone. But
yeah, and a part of that is because think of the pick heroes and their escape. I mean, Holiday is an exception where she's always had great escape, great pick.
it's ridiculous.
Also, the pick on Holiday is like fine. It's not even like amazing when you compare it to like Bebop Hook or Paradox swap, because Holiday has to go in, and if Holiday goes in and they have anything that can deal with chase,
It's even knockdown.
they have it, or a knockdown or anything like that, the risk is too significant, because that's a guaranteed death for her for only a possible kill on the individual that she's lassoing. Because how many times have you seen it? They go in for a Holiday lasso, they get lassoed, and the person doesn't die, and then the person leaves.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like you
they're
traded an ult for like a warp stone.
So I call those reverse pick heroes, where like they play a pick hero and then they just die trying to use like their pick tools. They die first, and so then they reverse pick themselves. Like, and like those are the most frustrating people to have on my team. But I think we should try to switch the topic a little bit, and I think we should talk about either. I think we should talk about what in a matchmaking update would seem like. And like what they could do to the game to, what does that mean? I guess is my question to you.
I think that for them, it's basically fruitless to have a matchmaking update without introducing like draft. I think that the fundamental imbalances that exist in the game currently are in part because there is no pick ban system. And the lack of a pick ban system makes it so that in order for every character to see playtime, they have to be strong enough to go into basically any other character. So, alternatively, a draft system, which I don't think you can balance the game without one. And then on top of that, I don't know. I think that if I'm not mistaken, Stat Locker stats show that people largely collect at the bottom of like Ascendant. And I think that having people collect at the bottom of ranked tiers is kind of
Well, it's supposed to be a bell curve.
Yeah, but if you look at it like Ascendant 1 has more players in it than Phantom 6. Again, I think this is the case. I haven't looked at Stat Locker in a while, but according to Stat Locker, the in-game rank system has maybe like 3 or 4 times as many players in Ascendant 1 than Phantom 6. And I think that collecting players there is not good. And I don't know why it happened with the algorithm or people.
You know why they did all like those? Remember the Stimmy updates where they gave like a bunch of players like this random rank updates? It was because there was basically most of the player base was just stuck in Initiate 1 and like they couldn't get out. So they had to do this like rank reset thing, which I guess works technically, but so it's like either they, and didn't that make the Ascendant 6? I'm pretty sure it was huge after that. Like they've had really big problems with what you said of like one rank is just so much larger, and so obviously I think they just need to add, this is what I think they need to do, is they need to add just like a pure number, like how Dota does it, where it's like I'm 1400 elo, like, and so I only queue against people that are 1400 elo. And I think that's the only true way to do it. And like obviously Deadlock's made by the same people as Valve, so I think they're probably going to be taking or is Dota, I mean, they're probably going to be taking inspiration from Dota. So I think they should almost one-to-one take the Dota system where like once you get to a certain rank, I don't know if you know this, but once you get to like top, I think 100 or 200, it turns into draft mode, and like that's when you actually start doing player draft, like a pug, and then also draft mode of like hero draft. So you can go.
Well, I was gonna say I didn't know that. I haven't really played other games like that. I haven't played like Overwatch and stuff like that. Like I had a lot of time in Counter-Strike.
I never played Dota either, but that's just what that's what I was told about how their rank system works, is because people call this like Dota 3. I don't think it's necessarily Dota 3. I think they're very different games, but
I think that makes a lot of sense though, something like that. Because what I was thinking is I'm aware that they're in some games with role queue, and I think part of the problem you see people have a lot of mobility inside of ranks is that the best way to like get good at the game is to get good at the character for one character.
Yeah,
and
I think that's how MOBAs are though. Like
which is fine.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Like that doesn't bother me.
The problem I'm seeing is that if I want to try out a new character, I'm like it's basically throwing, because if I play even a quarter, like 25% less the skill level that I play my best character, that's a huge problem for my team.
Yes.
And I think that is, that's an issue. And I know role queue, I think love the idea of role queue.
Role queue in this game would basically make your queue times be super, super long if like, so obviously the most popular role would probably be carry. So like your queue time for carry would be, I don't know, for example, it'd be 10 minutes. But if you wanted to play like tank or frontline, your queue time would probably be around a minute to like 30 seconds. Like, so that's the biggest problem with role queue, is like people are already kind of complaining about like my queue times can be kind of ridiculous sometimes already. So like if I'm then gonna try to queue like a high prio role, my queue time's gonna double or triple in time. And so I don't necessarily have a problem with role queue, but I don't.
I think maybe like per character elo. I mean, they have the bones for that, don't they? Because you have sort of an independent character rating.
Yo, that guy just threw the bird into nothing.
You have like an independent character rating in the game right now.
Yeah.
I think that one of the concerns there might be that there are certain things that just transcend what character you're playing, and they don't want people going into a low-ranked game when they're playing a character. That being said, I think that's like an acceptable sacrifice. If some phantoms have to get their teeth kicked in so that they themselves are able to learn to play new characters without huge concern. I think that's a worthwhile trade.
Yeah.
But
basically, the point I'm trying to make about this update is like, outside of like almost simplifying the rank system, or the matchmaking system, I don't necessarily know how they could make meaningful
Actually
change.
change it.
Yeah, like I don't see it, because games have been out for years and they all have the same criticism of like, wow, I hate the matchmaker, I get terrible teammates, but like, how is that true for every game? Like, they all have different matchmaking systems, but there's this same opinion that my teammates are terrible, I deserve to be in a higher rank. And like, some of my favorite videos to watch, especially when I was a little bit younger, was Overwatch videos where they would get 6 diamond players, or they'd get 11 diamond players and then 1 like gold player, and this gold player would say like, basically, I believe I should be a diamond player. And so then he would actually play with and against like the rank he thought he should be. And oftentimes they would like underperform or like not do well, and some of them would do well. But I think stuff like that, it was a good experiment just to like prove to people that just because you think you should be a higher rank doesn't necessarily mean you should be. And like, yeah. And so
I think part, like, I mean, I can sit here and sort of come up with an infinite number of sort of trivial methods of doing it, but imagine a system where you knew when you were going to get a rank up game, right? And then and you don't get a rank up game all the time. Then based on your individual performance, not necessarily individual performance, basically, if you win your rank up games, you're going to rank up. If you lose your rank up games, depending on your individual performance, dictates how soon in the future you're going to have another chance at a rank up. So say you end your rank up game, you do worse than your lobby, you're going to have X number of times before getting another opportunity to, like, say 4 more games you have to win before getting another rank up chance. And then if you like top your team and you still don't win, make it like, 1 game. I think that people, but that's like contrived, and it gets really complicated, and you don't want to do too much stuff with elo, because at the end of the day what matters is whether or not you win. But
I hate this new performance-based elo game, and this honestly goes back to what we first talked about, is like, you're decentivized to have a bad stat line and I think a game like Deadlock, you can have a lot of value and be 0-20. Like, you can be pushing walkers, making space. Obviously, that's not like ideal and like a great way to play the game, but I think just looking at stats as a way to tell purely based off numbers if someone's doing well is really inaccurate and not good. I think it forces people to play a certain way where they're scared to die and they don't want to do certain things purely because they don't want their like rank to go down more because they're feeding, I guess. And so
I agree. There's too many intangibles to really make a system that
it's impossible.
that
It's just
works
like
that.
yeah, like.
But yeah,
I think
so to answer your question is what they're probably going to do is they're probably going to push an update that does nothing, say that it does something, and then the entire community is going to be like, oh my god, it's so much better. I outside of like, having sort of independent elo for each character you play, or like a secret hidden elo for each character you play, I can't imagine what else it is.
Yeah.
People feel like they win a lot of games and they don't rank up, and then they feel like
Which
they
feels
lose a lot of
terrible.
games.
Like that.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest pain points right now is like if you're in one of those ranks, like, I think Eternus 1 and, like, Eternus 4 are very, very large ranks. Maybe Phantom 6 as well, I think you said. Where you have to win unproportionately more games to actually, like, see your rank change at all, so you feel like you're not making any progress. Which is, like, half of what a rank system should be, is, like, they should be giving you progress every time you see a win. So I think that's even just a quick change, just to, like, show you, like, because they clearly have a leaderboard system for every player in the game. Like, there's just, like, a big leaderboard, but they only show you the top 1,000. But I think they would get, it'd be helpful. Like, I think that would benefit the update of the rank system if they just showed you, like, hey, you're 80% to Ascendant 1, or you're 20% to Ascendant 1, and you got 5% rank off that game. Like, just little stuff like that, which other games have been doing for a long time, I think would help. And I honestly do think it's so funny that this game's not even, like, open beta yet, and we're talking about, like, features like this, but, like, it really does need it, because it is a little ridiculous that you can be, I was Eternus 5 for, I don't know, 15, 20 wins. Like, that feels terrible. And you can't see how much you're gaining, what you're doing well. Like,
you know, I think it might seem ridiculous, but at the end of the game, it's a competitive game, and the fact of the matter is that people are going for the competition aspect. You can't ignore how important that is.
yeah, I do think, I don't know, this game is so, you're so reliant on your teammates in this game. Like, this is one of the hardest games to carry for a number of reasons, basically. Like, I'm not going to get...
CC dependent it is.
It is, yeah. You have to rely on your teammates, and then the example I always use is just Fortnite is literally just you versus 99 other players. Like, it's you make every decision. It has nothing to do with other people. And if you win or lose, it's most of the time all on you. Obviously, there's duos, trios, stuff like that. There's some other game modes, but having to rely on 5 other people in a competitive game, it's just a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for disaster. And
I think, yeah.
You know, you can go.
Well, I was just saying, I think one of the problems is that there's a lot of on-off switches in the game and not a lot of gradients. So what I mean by that is, like Slowing Hex, for example. Slowing Hex is an on-off switch. If you have that status on you, you can't use your abilities. Dispel Magic is an on-off switch. If you have a status on you, you can remove it. And they've sort of moved to this, like, debuff resistance thing, but I don't think it's strong enough, really.
Debuff resist is OP.
It's really good, but it doesn't... So let me rephrase. It doesn't... Yeah, it doesn't fill the role that Dispel did, and that's why when you look at Victor Kit, when they took Dispel off this too, I mean, that's just fundamentally changing the character.
Yeah.
Because the difference between something lasting half as long and something not being applied anymore is significant. But you know, if stuns are the way we play the game to get lockdown because there's so much chase, that means you're either stunned or you aren't. It used to be there was a lot of slow, but they capped the slow because you could just be put into...
I don't know which is worse, getting, like, chain CC'd or, like, getting slowed.
Well, right now I would say getting slowed, like the original slow, that was way worse because you couldn't do anything about it. And it took a second to wear off. Now, chain CC, at least you can, like, pretend you can avoid it with counter spell or something like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's a reason that for, say, Sleep Dagger, you can sort of walk around in it, right? It's because depriving people entirely of the ability to move is just... It feels really bad.
It feels terrible to play against, and Overwatch had this problem too, where they had so much CC that when they swapped the game over to Overwatch 2, it was like they basically said, we're going to try to get rid of as much CC as possible, and what I realized and what a lot of players realized was CC is a necessary evil because some of the alternatives of like soft CC can be even worse, and that's why I think that I think CC is a necessary evil. That yes, it sucks when like I always think of Saber because Saber will whenever I play with him, he'll get like hit by 2 CCs in a row and like get mad, but he's like on frontline. He like ate their cooldowns and like now we basically just win the fight. Like he got solo dynamo ulted, so now the fight is free. We can auto win, but it's just really frustrating to play against, and so I can understand where a lot of people come from of like, wow, I hate CC, like this sucks. I'd rather like not be getting CC'd and like be able to play the game. But I think what this game would have turned into without CC would feel infinitely worse, and it's, I don't know. I don't really know where I'm going with that thought, but
Well, I don't think they should remove CC. My point was that if anything, what I'd be arguing for is another cooldown increase so that things take longer to come back. It's not so much that there's a lot of CC that can be applied all at once. It's that there's a lot of CC that can be applied all the time.
yeah.
And
so,
I do
yeah,
think
yeah.
that part of that decision, because there's again so much escape. There's so many ways to leave a fight and avoid being confirmed that if you don't have that, it's not clear how you're doing anything. It's like sort of the game as it's played is just there's CC and there's movement.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the best part about Deadlock is the movement, and so this like if they were to switch, get rid of some of the CC that like is like lockdown CC, like I think Abram Charge is like the best example of like you have to throw yourself into their like you have to use your character for the CC, like that's an example of good CC. Like there's a risk to reward there. But
Yeah, Holiday Lasso.
yeah, Holiday Lasso is another good one, but like I guess Paradox, let me think of an example. I guess Lashel would be the example of like there's not a whole lot of risk there associated with Lash going up in the air and pressing his ultimate button. Like obviously you can get slapped, like there is a little bit of risk, but I'm not a huge fan of stuff like
maybe
that.
not I think maybe Lash is not exactly a good example because, to be honest, it's harder to get more vulnerable than that, and you can also it's just telegraphed.
It's very telegraphed, but like you're not like super. There's probably better examples, but you're not like super vulnerable up in the air. Like you're not gonna like die per se, but you're definitely not safe.
Yeah. I mean, so when I think that this kind of this CC problem is largely because of a big offender for me is Calico ult. I don't know why they added verticality to it. There's basically nowhere in the map that you can be that doesn't immediately allow you to just leave because of that. And I think that's maybe not good. And that requires CC because if you don't get ahead of that, if you don't get her before that, you know, she's not only doing a ton of damage, she's also getting away.
Yeah. She's super hard to go on. It's almost like Victor, where it's like if that guy has ultimate, you're I think heroes that are designed where the best course of action is just to, like Shiv's another good example of this. The best course of action for fighting a Shiv most of the time is just to ignore him and not fight him in like little tight areas. But a lot of people will just like fight into that character's strength and like walk in there and like fight him in a little tight area, and I think that is bad here. That's not a good example, but like what am I trying to say? Basically, heroes that like Victor's just the example of like when Victor presses his ultimate, you basically just, or like when he has ultimate, you kind of just want to ignore him and like try to kill everyone else and then look to kill him like last or like after he pops his ultimate maybe. And I think that's just really boring hero design where it's like my best course of action against you is just to ignore you and look for someone else. And
yeah, well, and the thing is, the reason that someone else is more pickable is because they're going to have a movement or escape ability that that makes them really hard to secure.
Yeah.
And I think this goes back, honestly, to the HP thing, which is that damage isn't enough. And because damage isn't enough, you really have to kind of get kills, but kills are really risky. So if you're like a Calico, you're low HP, going in and like getting damage isn't going to bring someone to half where you can later confirm, because they're just going to go heal up if they get the opportunity, and that's pretty easy on currently. Yeah, you have to actually be able to full kill them, and the risk you're taking is yourself dying. So you just get this thing where if Calico gets you, she can just one-shot you, and if you get her, you can one-shot her, as opposed to if, you know, Calico played more of like a harass. If Calico had more of like a harassment role.
Yeah, like a
she then could
tracer.
confirm the role. Yeah.
I don't know. I think this game's literally impossible to balance. I don't like. Everyone loves to like be like Yoshi's a terrible balancer, and like yeah, some things. I think the Yamato hero with like the grappling is so. I don't think that's good for the game. Obviously, I know you do, but
Well, I think it's only good for the game because there's a necessary.
it's a necessary evil for how much movement there is. Yes.
Right. It's like that's one of the rare characters that doesn't have CC. So like, you know.
Yeah, and the heroes that have no CC are so weak. Or like most of the time they are fairly weak. They are very reliant on other players. So.
Right. And if you don't have CC, and I don't know how reliable I would call her movement, like out of fight or for escape or for something like that, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, it kind of, I don't know, it makes sense that you have a chase down, a character with that strong of a chase down. I think any meta where Yamato grapple as it is like a really, really big problem, is actually a movement creep problem in general.
I think it's a very rage-inducing ability because it's very rage-inducing if the Yamato's ahead. Basically, there's no getting away from that hero. It doesn't matter how good your movement is with like stamina and like your hero's kit. That hero will always be able to stick onto you. But if that hero's behind and you're behind on Yamato, it feels very frustrating because the whole hero's kit is based on the idea that I'm going to run in and try to like kill people. Like I have to be throwing myself at them, and so I guess that is a testament to like it is kind of good hero design because you have to be in there to like get kills. Like if you get behind, the hero's kind of useless and like struggles a little bit. But I don't know. I think it shouldn't be point and click. I promise you, Steve, that will be removed. Like there is a 0% chance that will ever stay in the game. I just don't think it's. I don't think it's healthy for a game to have point and click teleport ability. Like, remember Shiv Execute? Like, I don't know how much Shiv you played, but like I played a lot of Shiv, and like that hero, like the fact that you could just like point and click execute people is so ridiculous. Like, it felt unfair and it was too easy to use. Like,
I think, like, I agree that it feels really bad, but would it feel better if instead what Yamato Grapple did is just immediately stun you the second that whole thing connected you? Like that is the alternative, pretty much. And the fact of the matter is, Holiday can travel the entirety of the map using 2 jump pads in like 15 seconds.
Holiday's her own problem. I hate Holiday. But yeah, I do agree that it is a necessary evil, but I don't know. I don't know where they would take Yamato's kit if she didn't have that, because it's basically her whole identity is you can't run away from me. Is like if you had to like sum up that hero, I would sum it up as you can't get away from me. Like I can just always chase you down, doesn't matter what hero you're playing. And like I do actually kind of see your point of like that makes sense in this game because there are so many like really big movement heroes that like she's almost like the devil in a certain sense where like she's always good, like no matter what movement you're like how good your movement is, she's always going to be able to catch you. So obviously we'll see how the game develops and where they take Yamato, but I hate that hero.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you hate her for a good reason. It's just that the frustration of it comes from the fact that, it's like what you said is like, well, you don't really need to have skill, and that's true. But to be honest, there isn't really a lot of skill in this game.
Stamina, I think stamina is, but other than stamina.
Yeah, but how? I know that there are a lot of fights that's like a base thing that's operating in the, under the hood, but there's very few times where like people move in and out of combat using stamina specifically, where it's like, whoa, good job, you know. And a lot of it is, abilities.
Yeah, I agree. There's no skill expression on bats, really. Like, yes, you can, like, dodge certain stuff, but... Like, I would say a good example of maybe, like, a more skill-expressive movement ability would be, like, Grey Talon's, like, jump in the air where you can use stamina then after. But other than that, I do agree that it's kind of just, like, you press the movement button and then you're running around or, like...
Even with Grey Talon, what it is you hit your flight and then you spam your stamina.
Yeah.
That's not exactly skill. I mean,
more skillful than some other stuff. Like Shiv Dash, you just press dash. Calico Leap, you just press the button. And like, I don't know. Maybe we're oversimplifying it a little bit.
I don't think so. I think stamina is a very small. As progression will become smaller and smaller. A smaller and smaller part of the movement of the game because people's abilities just keep using it. Like, I just think that's a shame because I think the movement system is the reason I play this game. I never played a MOA before, and I play Deadlock for the movement. I don't play Deadlock for sitting and hitting back camps for 45 minutes.
Farm it up.
So,
yeah. Okay, I think we'll do one last topic.
Sure.
What do you think we should do? You have anything prying at you, or?
Oh man. You know, I haven't been thinking about this at all, but what do you think about mid-boss and Rejuve right now? Because, like, it's kind of just a given, right? People don't talk about it anymore, not the way they talk about the Urn.
I think it's super... I think it's ridiculously strong, but I think everyone's so bad at Deadlock that they always misplay it. Once they get Rejuve, it's almost always misplayed.
I think that the decreasing the timer on it was really good.
I agree. I agree that the taking a minute off like makes it more like you have to be like we got to go right now and like look for a play instead of like let's farm our jungle, then let's go farm their jungle. Like let's take the slow. So
yeah, that's my favorite change they've made to like the macro side of the game in a long time, just because the yeah, because you also have a real opportunity to fuck it up now.
Yeah, you can fuck it up bad, and like a lot of my teams have been fucking it up and just either timing it out or like I guess like dying solo. I think that's a really, really big problem is like people almost don't know what to do when they get Rejuve, and then they just like go into the enemy's jungle and then die solo. They get jumped by 5 people. It's like basically the only way to fuck up a Rejuve is to die by yourself and like give up a Rejuve and then also die after. So now we're in a 5v6 with 2 Rejuves, like which is still I would
kind of even.
It's like even, yeah.
Yeah,
it
that's
might
exactly
even be worse. I don't know. It depends, but
it's exactly what I was thinking. Is that the portion of times that people have recent games where people go and they like die with a single Rejuve, and
so bad.
The play is over. The play is just over.
Basically, the whole Rejuve is like wasted at that point. Then it becomes sometimes it depends how much you're up, but like if you're really not up that much, it becomes okay. We're using this rejuve to like get a lead and money from jungle and not take objectives, because like objectives in this game are very, very strong. Especially like I think the biggest objective you can take is the shrines, where like you eventually get your minions that not only does the other team make less money, you also have like permanent shove in one wave, and like that's just so strong late game, is because you can like send more people and you don't have to have someone like fixing the waves, like, so it gives you like a big macro cheat basically, which I'm a fan of.
What do you think of just the rejuve generally, like the fight, like the crystal dropping?
I think it's very
Like,
catered towards certain heroes, and I think heroes that aren't necessarily strong for like a mid-boss take or like a mid-boss steal are never going to be that good at the game. They're never going to be high prio. They're never going to be that good. Like, when you think of a hero like Drifter, this guy doesn't really have anything to like bring the table. And when you say like, let's go take rejuve, like the Drifter hero doesn't really bring anything. But if you're on Abrams, you have so much agency to be on. You're super tanky. You can play in the pit. You can like live from everything. You have a CC, 2 CC buttons that can hit the whole team and like secure rejuve. Another good example is Ivy with Stone Form. Is like, she's uninterruptible with that. Like if she can get that Stone Form off, she's more or less going to secure the rejuve for her team if they play it correctly. And like, because rejuve is so strong and so powerful, it makes heroes that don't have good mid-boss almost not useless, but like, at least in a competitive scenario, it's like, why would I ever pick this when I could pick that? Like, why would I ever pick something that's bad in mid-boss when I could just pick something that's good in mid-boss, but also good mid-game? Because, like, I guess maybe the way to articulate this would be, Drifter's mid-game isn't so unbelievably it can be, but it's not so unbelievably strong to the point where I'm going to risk giving up, like, good mid-boss when I could pick, let's say a Paradox would be, like, he has really good mid-game, really good pick potential. He can snowball the game super fast. But he also has really good mid-boss because he has double bomb and he has max swap, which basically means I can swap everyone out of the pit. I have CC. Like, this goes back to the CC. It's where, like, any hero that doesn't have CC is kind of bad. So,
I mean, I think there's, you know, there's only a few types of characters in this game. There's characters that do AoE, there's characters that do stun, there's characters that do execute, and there's characters that escape. Like, if you think about it like that, instead of like, oh, frontline tank, stuff like that, like, what does Drifter even do?
what does he even do? He does nothing.
I mean, he doesn't have good escape. He doesn't have good, he doesn't have good stun. I guess you could say his 1 is like okay, but it requires you to be right in front of them when he's not as tanky.
It's
as
very committal.
Yeah. And he doesn't have good AoE.
Yeah.
Like,
Very single target.
Why would you ever pick that over? I mean, even believe it or not, Shiv is an AoE character.
Oh, for
like,
sure. That's not even a hot take.
So, you know, when he's raged, his knives go and hit everyone. His dashes go through everyone. His fucking execute goes through everyone. Like, it's an AoE character. If your character doesn't have AoE, there is a big question as to whether or not you should be playing it in a serious regard.
Yeah.
Like, let's think. What other characters? I mean, Viper's like okay, but she's only.
Viper's single. I would say Viper is a single target hero. She has pretty good mid boss though.
Yes, but she has yeah, exactly. She's a completely insane mid boss. One of the best in the game.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know. I just it feels like if you don't have an AoE or a stun on a character, then you're asking to lose the game. To be honest.
Yeah, so like a lot of our draft strategy for the competitive teams I've been on is basically just mid-boss, mid-boss, mid-boss. Like, if you don't know what to pick in a certain slot, it's like, wow, we have our carry, we have blah, blah, blah. What do we want to take for, like, our second to last pick? 99% of the time, it's always, like, let's take an Ivy for mid boss. Let's take an Abrams for mid boss. It's always a mid boss hero, just because it gives you so much agency to like not only contest like certain comps you never want to go mid boss against, like because they just have so much security. Bebop just punched me into the fire trail.
Yeah, I think I like. They did it for like 3 days. They had the redo where there was 3 crystals that dropped. I think one of the problems
Where it was like spread out.
Yeah, and I think there's something you said here that we were talking about as well, which is that incremental victories aren't that good.
Yeah,
Like
you'd rather just get mid boss and get a big one. Well,
right. Well, what I mean by that is that
yeah. What do you mean by that?
The mid boss. You can flip the mid boss.
I'm big on flipping.
You can be completely lost on mid boss, and you can go for it. And in virtue of doing that, you can lose the game.
Yeah.
If there's 3 crystals, then stealing mid boss would be a lot more difficult. Because there's.
I think it makes confirming it a lot more difficult too.
That is true, but in a way that's like problematic. Not so sure. Compared to.
I don't know if I did not like the where it would like go into a lot of different spaces, because basically you would have to have 6 people on your team, and like maybe you do have actually a point to this where it's you need 6 people up on your team, and they all need to be on one of the rejuves. One person's punching, one person's parrying, and that would be way more interactive, I guess, but I don't know if that's necessarily better for the game.
Well, I think what I would do is I would make it easier to. I don't know. I'm just kind of off the top of my head here. Can you imagine if they made it the mid boss lower HP, decrease the cooldown timer even more, and then made it 3 like that? So instead of the confirm being like the part that like you can better orchestrate the drop of the rejuve with conditions on the map, instead of being like, oh, we killed 3, let's go do mid boss, or we just killed 1, let's go do mid boss. Well, I guess killed 1 is fine. The point of the change would be it's easier to actually drop the crystals, so that confirming it, you know, the other team has to be more responsive to that. Also make it like sneaking mid-boss possible.
Do you think I should roar at half HP? Do you like that?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I just think that maybe it should be a little easier to drop. At least in the earlier games. I think earlier rejuves would be interesting. Because right now, like, you're not really getting rejuves before 15.
Rarely, unless you're like, the only times that ever happens if you're in a coordinated environment.
And
even then, sometimes it's just hard to do.
yeah. And to be fair, I mean, it should be difficult.
It should be difficult, yeah. It's a game-winning objective.
I don't think it should be so difficult that, like, I don't know. I liked it when there was more to managing the fight. As it is, you don't really manage the mid-boss fight outside of making sure you have your CC online.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's something you said about that with, like, if you burn a big ult, like an Agent's ult, then that does make it a lot easier to secure, which means that Abrams has to play more cautiously, and, you know, it can't just be completely willy-nilly with it, but I don't know. I think I'd be interested to honestly see some more like iterations of that.
I agree. I think
have, like the perfect mid
I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's just so unbelievably powerful that like 99% of the games, whichever team gets more mid bosses usually wins the game. Probably more like 70% chance, but
yeah, but is that causal, or is that just like because if you're winning the game, you're already getting more mid bosses?
yeah, I guess that's true. If you're just already winning, you're gonna get more mid bosses. So,
I don't know. What do you think could even be a new mid boss? Like, what could they change without making it awful?
I think it should just be one crystal. I think one
You
player.
think, going back to the OG.
I think one player should get a respawn. I think having 3 players have respawns is so unbelievably broken. And the only reason that it's not getting nerfed is because people just play it so poorly, and they just get picked by themselves, and so then it turns it from like a good objective into like, wow, that's really bad actually.
Yeah, I actually like that a lot. It would be kind of cool if they tried it with 2 before they went to 1. I'd also be interested to see if they could get more than 1 full heal. Like if both of them give full heals. It'd be interesting to see.
What did it used to? It used to be a little bit different for the whole full heal mechanic. I think it was whoever your whole team healed off of it, maybe? I kind of forget. It used to be just absolutely broken, though. We'll see what they do to mid boss. I think mid boss is in a relatively okay spot.
Yeah, well, that's also interesting because everyone always has something to say about all the objectives in the game. Oh, what did you think about all the stuff they were doing with the urn and like the new rift? We didn't even talk about the new rift.
I like the rift. I think the minions are a little bit underwhelming. But I like to capture the like flag type mechanic. I think that, or King of the Hill. I think it's interesting. I think it's reliant on your team, which is good, and I think that urn now being a solo objective, I really like actually. So I'm in favor of it. I wish the creeps were like maybe a little bit more powerful, but I haven't played any other MOBAs like you, so like all of these MOBAs have this mechanic where like you get a super strong creep, and so I would probably prefer if it was just one big creep that would be a lot more powerful.
Interesting. You know, there was leaks a while ago about like new walkers.
Yeah, the bulls.
I wouldn't be surprised if those are like actually big creeps, or repurposed into something like that, because that seems to make more sense to me.
Yeah. I'm overall fine with it. What do you think of the rift?
I think that objective is like bait. I think that maybe 70% of the time it's not worth going for because the outcome is so bad if you lose it. But to be honest, I actually don't mind. I think that's kind of good because what I was saying earlier was that the there's not a lot of opportunity for like incremental victories. I think the rift is something that is like fine to give, and I think that's a good thing. I think you should be able to give some objectives and not just completely lose the game.
Yeah, well, because like when the urn was the king of the hill, you basically had to fight it, or like you just lost it. Like basically whichever team was getting urns would just win the game. So
now I do think that the rift does reward superior macro play in a way that objectives historically haven't.
I agree.
Because you can, first of all, you can get like a good soul lead off of it. Like the first rift is worth what? Like
it's like
3K, 4K.
I don't know. I want to say it's like 1.5. I think it is just bait. It's just worth. I don't know. That's like nothing.
Well, it's worth going for. It's not worth contesting. Like if there's any question as to whether or not you're gonna get it, it's not worth doing.
Maybe.
So that's like. You really have to ask: is our macro in a place where we can reasonably?
Yeah, is our map state good?
And if you can't answer that with like a resounding yes, then it's not a good idea to go for. Which I like. I just think that people are treating it like the old urn still, at least in my elo.
Everyone's going to fight it. Like.
Yeah, it's like you don't. The first one especially, you don't have to fight.
I think it's good to trade a walker. Walker, it's basically worth. Someone said it's worth around a walker. Is like how much souls it's worth.
Holy 15k damage. I might be too good.
Dropping nukes. I don't know. I'm a fan of it, but at least in like the competitive games I played, they felt basically the same with like the new objectives. Like they didn't. even when everyone's like coordinated and like we're trying to have good macro and like play the objectives, it didn't feel that significantly different. And like in matchmaking, it's almost a buff to like solo queue because you can like bait your team on the rift and then go like split a sidewalker.
Go steal a solo walker.
Yeah, like it's kind of a buff to that.
Go rift, guys. Go rift.
Yep,
Come
go
on,
rift.
Gotta defend that. Gotta get that.
So
yeah, I think that it's maybe a little undervalued for the commitment, the kind of commitment it takes. I wish there was more of a mechanism for neither team taking it, if that makes sense.
like when it like pops up in the air.
No, that's if it's contested for too long. I mean, if people literally just don't go to it.
I think people always go to it though.
That's what I'm saying, is that I wish there was a mechanism where it was less like that. Because the fact that people always go to it means that, I don't know, I wish there was more tension involved in it. Where it just sits on the map as like as something that can be contested at any time if another team makes a mistake. So something that's too dangerous if the macro is equal, but the second a mistake is made can go be confirmed.
A little
You
bit
know
more
what I
like
mean?
mid-boss, yeah.
Yeah.
Where, like you have to have,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
most of the time where you have to have like a little bit of an advantage before you go do it.
Not even just like a little bit of advantage to go and do it, because you could argue that that's how it is right now. But like a sort of, what am I trying to say? I don't know. It needs to take. I think you should. It should require maybe a certain number of players, or like the multiplier on confirming it to the number of players that are in it should be different. So like maybe one player in it is really slow, but you could reasonably like top it up over time. But if you had 3 players on it, it went significantly faster.
I like that idea because when it first came out, that was sort of how I thought it was gonna be. Where it's like if we're committing 6 people to the rift and no one else is on it, it should cap way faster than if we just like committed 1 person to it. So I do actually, I'm a big fan of that idea. I think that would make it at least more incentivized for people to show up, because basically my whole matchmaking strategy around the Rift has been I'm never showing up, I'm always looking to split push, because you almost always can get something and like benefit your own game over trying to like help your team win, which like, yes, you want to help your team, but it's not very solo queue friendly in my opinion.
You could also have a thing where maybe once it's filled, it like, not to make everything a melee objective, but once it's filled, it drops a crystal that has to be confirmed. Just anything to make it less of like a trivial kind of stand there, and then right now it's either you basically full confirm or you give it up, and then yeah, you can contest it, but the contest is like, I don't know, it doesn't feel that rewarding. It feels like a mid-boss. The gameplay feels like a mid-boss without the tension of a mid-boss.
Yeah.
Because in mid-boss you confirm immediately, like, well, you clear it, and then there's this moment where, okay, everyone's got to be like on top of it now. You don't really have that with the
What if the longer it was like it's been up, it slowly starts the rift like closes in on itself, and then eventually it's like this tiny little circle where it's like we're
if you're
either
outside of it, you take damage, and if you're the last one alive in it, you win.
Huh. So that's actually a pretty good idea. So the way that would have to work though is they would have to teleport you. You'd basically have to jump into this like teleporter, and you'd get teleported to like, I don't know, the rift dimension, I guess. And
Yeah.
it's slow, like it's almost like a battle royale where it's slowly pushing closer and closer together, and then, that's actually, I don't think they would ever do that, but that is actually very interesting. Wow, I just got saved by a sign.
Yeah, I mean, just bring Fortnite to the game.
I mean, I think Gloon Snake did he did like a Fortnite, yeah.
No, I mean, what the more I think about it, the more I like the idea of just making it so that like one person confirming it is basically super difficult. and then it sits there forever. So like over time you can top it up, but it's not something that you immediately have to respond to, and it's not something that you have to.
They need to reward you for sending more players of your team there. Outside of just getting the objective, you should be able to get the objective faster because it's very committal to like send 3 members of your team at this objective, and then if you don't get it, it's so or like 5 players, it's so it's like game losing if you don't get it. Like depending on what time of the game it is too. Like first one isn't as important, but like some of those later ones, it's basically just a reason. It reminds me of the old Earn where it's the only reason that you're doing the objective is to just go Earn or to go mid boss after. It's just like a mid boss. Like
Yeah.
it's a pregame to mid boss is what it is.
I agree. Is it feels like the effort that you have to put in to get it isn't super significant. Like it doesn't feel as earned as a lot of other objectives. But I do think that's also just a symptom of the way the game has tempo right now. I just think slowing the confirm would probably just be what I'd like to see, and then that way people can like slow play it as opposed to either you're there or you're not. It's like, okay, you have 2 people side laning there, one of them standing. Okay, well there's 2 on their team. There's only one of us there. Is that like an instant objective get?
Yeah.
Should that be instantaneous? I also do think the reward for the Rift should probably be
Not
a
worth
little more,
it.
like, yeah, like you said. The money is nice, but to be honest, I don't love objectives that just give you and your team souls. I like objectives like the Rejuvenator that gives you something to play around, and then you can use your team to turn that advantage into a soul lead, as opposed to putting the objective to do it.
What if instead of souls it gave you like, let's say 10 golden statue buffs, or like it gave you a certain amount of golden statue buffs that are permanent throughout the game, which would, I think that would be interesting because those scale much better than souls, and like it makes those objectives feel like we're fighting over something that's gonna like matter more, I guess, like the longer the game goes on. Whereas something like the middle boss, like, yes, obviously, or I guess Earn is probably a better example of like just getting souls like doesn't feel that impactful as to like if I was to get 10 golden statue buffs that are, let's say they give you a little bit more than like a normal golden statue buff at the time of the game, like it's like worth maybe 2, like like the health one would be worth like 100. Like that's a pretty significant buff. That's basically an item. Like so like you're almost getting an item for fighting this objective, which I don't know, that would have its own problem. That might be a little bit too strong almost.
What if it gave a lingering buff to participants? That way,
Oh.
split pushing is like a... When you think, oh, I'm going to split push, because you're going to get the same amount of souls anyway if you're there or you're not.
Yeah.
That way you could, like, think, well, who do we want to be there for this particular thing? It's like the Earn right now.
Yeah, it's like, who do you give it to?
Yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah. I think I think we'll wrap it up there. If you have any other topics or
no.
Yeah, I think that was good.
That was for it. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. Obviously. Thank you everyone for
Always
watching.
A pleasure, Rich.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff.